What do you personally think when you hear somebody 10xing their workflow with AI?
Most of my mental grunt work has been now offloaded.
There are two type of audience. One is absolutely not using AI to its full potential, only looking for shortcut, and one is absolutely automating the workflow, that is connecting your trigger, connecting your action.
How do I as a 20-year-old figure out कि I can give time on learning this particular tool or workflow?
The way the industry is growing, it's very difficult to pace up with almost everything which you're doing.
How do I optimize my workflow for getting a higher salary?
For you, AI shouldn't be ChatGPT. There is much more to it.
Usually the ideas are all around you when you're working on a regular basis.
Can you both give me 3 AI tools that you absolutely love as a creator and as a founder?
I use Google AI Studio a lot.
One of them is definitely
What skills are gonna be still relevant in 2025? Welcome guys, welcome Vishnu, Aditya, how are you?
good, quite good.
Awesome.
Perfect. So for today's podcast, my goal is that any 24, 25-year-old watches this episode, irrespective of their experience with AI. They are pro AI, they have no experience. Any which way, we give them a proper guidance on how they can 10x their workflow using AI. Right? So for that, I have with me today Vishnu and Aditya, who are very well known in the AI field. So first, let's start with a round of intros for them. First Vishnu and then Aditya.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sanskar, for having me. It's been a pleasure. So I am a CMO at Syntax. It's an agentic coding platform, and I create content. That's what I do. So started content almost a year back, and I'm here. And product has also recently joined them. So they were a team of 4 boys, not able to scale. So I joined them. We tried almost scaled, and we are yet scaling. So I think that's the journey look like. And yes, creating content, sharing knowledge with people, and learning from you all.
So I'm coming from core tech and engineering side of the things. Currently, I'm a co-founder of CreateBytes, and I've been building products which are like Yugyog.ai, Cricket, and all these products. My major background is into research, R&D activities. I've published a lot of research papers on human body repositioning, personalization, crash testing simulation activities. So yeah, core, geometrical, natural language processing, computer vision kind of a background I have.
Wow, so that's a lot of thoughts to unpack here. Firstly, Aditya, what do you personally think when you hear somebody 10xing their workflow with AI?
Interesting. So I have a version for this which is towards a kind of cognitive offloading concept. So the concept is that when somebody is or someone wants to say 10x their workload with AI, it's like the way I look at it is most of my mental grunt work, mental activities which are related to research, writing some regular activities which are related to drafting, or some kind of things which are on a very normal basis which keep on repeating when I'm working on a major idea, has been now offloaded. That's why basically this offloading concept to AI. And now 20% of the work which is more focused towards novel ideas or thinking about how a concept can be evolved at a bigger scenario. And then my major focus is towards building it more powerful. And then most of the grunt work taken by AI. So it's like kind of an offloading of your main work to AI. For me, basically helps in terms of that 10x growth and speed. So definitely this automatically helps in terms of enhancement, improvement, and then speed generation. But the major part is the decision making in which you are able to understand and decide what are the things which the current AI capabilities can do, and then ensuring that that 10x is achieved. And so 20% is something which is the main focus where your core creative ideas and mental focus goes towards.
Anything to add, Vishnu, here?
First of all, amazing answer to that. That's exactly the same. But I also see in this way that, so when you say workflow, what does your outcome look like? Let's say what's productivity? Productivity is using your time essentially to get a particular output. Now, what is your output? Are you getting that output using AI is the answer. So there was a paper by MIT recently about Gen AI in businesses. 95% of the businesses are not getting ROI. So if you go ask them, are you productive? No, right? But for me, like person like me, I'm into media. For me, end to end is AI. Let's say my scripting, my video is an avatar of myself, my voice is myself. So everything is AI. imagine the time there. So let's say you do content, right? To shoot one content like that, to edit, how much time will take? 3, 4 or 5 hours. Cost will be how much? 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 reel. Let's say in 1 hour, 2 videos is done. In a very simple way, I have to answer that. Right? So that is productivity for me.
Right.
So it differs in terms of the output, and as you told, offloading a repetitive task so that you spend more time in thinking and you use AI as a tool to execute. That's something which is important.
Interesting. So tell me, like, when we say improving your workflow using AI, do we just refer to using shortcuts from AI, or we refer to the fact that we can reinvent our workflow altogether?
So if you look at workflows, I'm looking at in a way that you have a repetitive task, simple. You have a trigger, you have an action. How do you connect this trigger and action is your workflow.
Right.
Right? For example, simple example I have to give. I am doing cold outreach. So what's my trigger? Whenever I add an email ID, automatically mail goes.
Right.
That's a workflow I automated. Right? Now, this is not a shortcut. This is, as you told, I'm being more productive. I'm using AI effectively to get.
Right.
Then there is one crowd who don't use critical thinking and who finds shortcut. Because we are used to shortcut, because initially ChatGPT was used for shortcut. Writing, can you please rephrase this? Can you please correct the grammar?
Right.
Initially I used for that. I'm sure you also use for
Of
that,
course, yes.
right? You know, you use in a more technical way because he's a deep tech guy. But we common audience, right? So when you use that, then I would say that workflow, that is shortcut, right? And nowadays, a lot of people, there are two type of audience. One is absolutely not using AI to its full potential, only looking for shortcut, and not clear with the answer itself because they don't have clarity on thinking. And one is absolutely automating the workflow, that is connecting your trigger, connecting your action.
As a corporate founder, Aditya, what do you have to say on this?
At a very high level, when you basically jump onto the concept of, let's say, shortcut or utilizing AI to that extent, one of the things which can come as a constraint for a lot of people is the understanding and knowledge of what are the things which can be done to ensure that the same thing can achieve a better outcome. And a lot of times that gets converted to a shortcut kind of a scenario. So the mechanism in which this can happen is, and again, it goes to the basics, which is knowledge. That is getting an idea around what need to be done to ensure that the tool is being used in the right fashion and the workflow is created. And so it's like understanding one of the things which now is important is what is the concept and what is the mechanism in which this can be utilized in its most efficient manner. If I know that GPT-5 can be used with these things in the most efficient manner, I know what is the process in which I can use it, even if it's going to take the same time, even if it is basically like thinking. But if I do not understand that, a lot of times our tasks actually become a shortcut to go to somewhere. So even in corporate, or let's say in a B2B segment or a B2C segment, a similar thing works where there are different teams, individuals working in different direction. The one who basically just spend 10 more minutes to get an idea around how something can be used, or 10 more minutes to get a better research in terms of getting the right prompts, ensuring that, okay, fine, this can be an alternate example, will definitely have an edge as compared to someone who just start having a basic draft, then start going in a direction of grunt work and then getting an output. So it's important that, and again, that's the basic, like some kind of pre-preparation or preparation is important to ensure you understand what can be the max throughput of an AI tool, which you can achieve with normal activities.
But to your point of GPT-5, Aditya, with these updates coming every week, how do I, as a 20-year-old, figure out ki I can give time on learning this particular tool or workflow, or it will waste my time altogether?
Interesting, very interesting. So this is not just for a 20-year-old, this is also for a 30 and 40-year-old. Because the way the industry is growing, it's very difficult to pace up with almost everything which you're doing. So it's important for us as an individual to know what should be our priorities in terms of taking up the right models, the right direction, and the right way of moving forward. Because in any direction you go, there is going to be a lot of things going on in that way. For example, Claude Anthropic has a lot of updates going on. Even apart from LLM, there are other updates which are happening. So for example, it has to basically be thought from a reverse direction, where I need to think what is my objective, what I want to achieve, what are the things which I need to do. Okay, fine. For this activity, what are the best 3 things available to do that? and then what are the constraints in these three things, and then reach out to the right things which can be important for me to achieve that workflow. And then on a regular basis, I should be updated with the things going on in that specific domain so that I can, if required, upgrade myself with those tools and techniques.
So, Vishnu, coming to you, talking about reverse direction. Say I'm a 24-year-old right now, I'm in a job, mid level engineer. How do I optimize my workflow for getting a higher salary, for competing the higher up the ranks? How do I do that?
Optimizing workflows. So to do anything with AI, I will recommend to learn at least fundamentals of AI. Right? It shouldn't be like, for you, AI shouldn't be ChatGPT. There is much more to it. Right? You need to understand what an LLM will work like. So you can judge a model. So you can judge anything. So if you have a problem with you, knowing these fundamentals, you're able to judge these models or the tools around you, and you will get to know how to use it effectively. Right? So for me, the key is to learn the fundamental, learn the first principles of it, so that when you come across any tool today, tomorrow, day after, you're able to use that tool and adapt to it really quick because you know the fundamentals. Right. So most of the people don't know that GPT can read PDF, right? Example. So they still go read the whole PDF. So when you know the fundamentals of a model, what all it can do, the capabilities of it, then whatever workflow you have, you will be able to judge quickly and analyze and optimize it.
So, Aditya, at Create Bytes, have you made any specific workflows for your team?
Interesting. So it's a journey where we fail much more than we succeed in terms of workflows. So so what happens? You try something and then you get to know, okay, fine, this can also be done with this, and then it's like it's a kind of a progressive upgrade fashion you work. And so yeah, definitely there are a lot of workflows which we have built in, and a lot of them are process oriented, like where you have operational processes being involved. A lot of them basically are still like having a human touch involved, but a few of them are in a manner where they are completely automated to a certain extent. So for to give you an example, what we do is we have a place where we do a code review cycle where you do peer review. So the mechanism which we used to follow earlier were, for example, somebody is going to merge a particular branch, then there'll be a lot of code commits in that particular branch, and then when it goes for a PR, they check the delta code and then basically give a suggestion. Now with the CI pipeline which comes in, once you pass the CI pipeline, it's more about what's the logic which has been written. What we are able to do with a couple of our projects where the code review happens in conjunction with the engineer, but most of the review comments basically are addressed by LLM itself. So what happens, the corresponding person goes through the delta code change. They try to get an idea, okay, fine, the other things which can change. So they use the LLM in terms of even at the time of review, and at the time of merge also this is being used. So the CI pipeline, this became a part of it. So the code review process, basically, there's a small LLM review process which you've added in the workflow. So that's an interesting addition, which has saved a lot of time and also made us a kind of, it's like a verification check for critical products. So we have, but important part for us is that most of our products are on-prem, so we tend to run these models on the premises and not tend to use the on-cloud versions for these activities. So yeah, and the very interesting workflow, which is more of like a typical content generation cycle, where we have like a concept similar to what SEMrush does. So we are also able to basically do our own keyword analysis and then fetch the right keywords. And then from those particular keywords, what can be the right content which can be written. And then what is the content which can give us most engagement, those kind of activities. And then the person who is drafting basically take care of the high level validation as well as doing the modifications there. But the keyword research to figuring out what can be the priority keywords and then getting the first draft ready is something which we have taken care. The ideation also has a certain sense where when we are doing the ideation, at that time our system basically interacts with the user who gives some ideas, and then from that ideation cycle to final first draft is something which we have, and it's our own product which we use to do that.
I'm just adding on. Yeah. So I think for audience who is, let's say, new to AI, when you mentioned LLM, LLM is basically a large language model, Okay, it's a model trained on multiple language. Your ChatGPT, your Gemini. So whenever he's mentioning LLM, all LLMs are ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude. All these are LLMs, right? AI agents is built on top of LLMs to do task. So just know that base, fundamentals of it, so that you don't miss out the conversation.
Very good addition. So I recall you mentioning about building your own avatar.
Yeah.
So how can a creator build that for themselves?
Okay, so I'll just break down my workflow. You have a script I generate from GPT or a Claude. A Claude is great for writing. Uh, Everyone agrees with that. The moment he turns, he's like, yeah, no doubt, no questions asked. Writing, I use GPT or Claude. Then I moved to Elevenlabs. I already fine tuned my voice there. And how do you fine tune your voice in Elevenlabs? You go to Elevenlabs. There's something known as instant voice clone. You click on it, add your 2 minute of voice, your voice is cloned, right? Then there's multiple models, and you play with stability. That is how much of stable your voice should be, and all that. And it is text to speech. You add a text, that text is converted to a speech. So I put my ChatGPT ka script, I get an audio. Now I have an audio of me talking. Right. That goes to Heijin, where my avatar is trained of me talking naturally. That audio has gone there, that whole video is there. This is my workflow. So my avatar is trained. So as a 21-year-old, 24-year-old, if you want to create content at scale, I recommend this. But again, most of the people don't get avatar right, because if you train your first avatar, it'll be like you will have that kind of thing. So there are a lot of nuances to it. I think the more you keep training, the more better it gets.
Going deeper onto this, Vishnu, for a 21-year-old, how much will it cost them building their own avatar in terms of money, in terms of time, and in terms of the assets?
Two softwares, let's say GPT, you have $399 now India plan, but let's say you take the pro version also, or Claude's pro version, which will cost you around $20, around 20, 30, exactly $35 per month. Okay. That's your cost. You can generate up to 30 to 40 videos. That's your cost. That's your time. Time as in, let's say 5 minutes, I can generate 5 videos. So time is it's absolutely cut.
And initially, to set up that avatar, how much time is put in then?
I think so. This whole trend, I would say, I'll give the credits to Varun. Varun and few more creators who started this kind of avatar. He was like a torch bearer for the community. He took the torch and he ran forward. But yeah, everyone respects him in the community for sure. But he started then. That's when I started seeing him, and then I see a lot of other creators, international creators. So initially, it is easy to figure it out. So initially, it took me a day to figure out the accuracy. Then I realized that Elevenlabs and Heijin takes 3 or 4 days to understand your whole process of models. And post 3-4 days, you start getting an output.
That's great. Now, this brings me to you, Aditya. Actually, when we were on the call for the first time, you mentioned you have built a product which gives better outputs than Elevenlabs. Yeah. So, what is that? How have you built it? Tell me the whole story.
Okay. So number one, I'll basically get into the benchmarking concept. So the important perspective and the day-to-day activity of ours is whatever we are building, we tend to look at the benchmarking. So the idea is, let's say if there's a model X, you can definitely go on the leaderboard on Hugging Face and see and compare on various parameters. Similarly, it's important that we have a ground truth data. That ground truth data helps us differentiate between different models and compare different models on various parameters and see which one is better and which one is not. So the one thing which we were able to do, which basically when we compared with the current output which we got, was we trained Priyanshi's voice with her old audio content and basically then gave a new text. Similar thing which we did with Elevenlabs too, and then we got the outcome, and then that outcome basically was more realistic for us from Priyanshi's voice perspective when it was given to our own model which we were using, and so it's like a version which is built on top of Chatterbox, is an open source code base. Usually when we are building our own models, this is something which we do on a regular basis. We tend to find the best open source model available. Then we see if we have sufficient understanding of the architecture behind the scenes, what's happening, and then where are the places where the architecture can be modified a little bit So we try to add and gel up some other code base too in that. And then we see if the model is overfitting or not if we try to train it with a smaller portion. If it doesn't and we see that, yeah, there's some improvement, then we try to add on new things to it. So yeah, this was the model. We are still in the engineering phase of it. But yeah, so definitely the second we are going to come out. So yeah, that's what we've been doing in this direction. Similarly, there are other models too where we outperformed in a lot of scenarios. One of them was with respect to human body anthropometric parameter measurements. So we have a product called as yugyog.ai. So it has a CCTV kind of a camera. It can be any camera. You would have heard about the concept of facial tracking and facial recognition. We have built a concept which is human body registration and human body tracking. For example, there's a biometric of your face. Similarly, you can have a biometric information with respect to the body, unique information about it. One of the things which is unique about the body, and it is something which we also got from some of the research papers, is the gait analysis, which is the posture and how you walk. That's also quite unique to individuals. Okay, but when you mix all these things together, you can actually start tracing humans without even having a clear picture of their face. So that's our concept of human body facial registration recognition system, and there's also a very unique nature to which we have built it, and the way we basically identify human body anthropometric parameters. And so yeah, that's another place where our model is outperforming the current ones which are out there.
What are the current models out there?
So there is Google Open Pose model. Google Open Pose model is one of the best models in terms of the landmarks prediction. Okay, when you get accuracy of your landmark. So it helps you with respect to your glenohumeral joint, or let's say your thigh, ankle to calf region. So these are all proximal distal landmarks which they detect in the body. But when it comes to spine, there are a lot of issues. But when so this is for one of our products where we try to have a kind of an exercise being mimicked. Okay, so there's a laptop which is like your personal trainer, which basically gives you an idea around, let's say you're doing an exercise in a wrong fashion. It'll say, okay, you should move your hand like this and not like this. So, or when you're doing a push-up, your back should be straight. So one of the biggest problem was the spine basically being captured with thoracic region. Lumbar, so thoracic is T1 to T12, your back. Lumbar is L1 to L5. And then you have cervical C1 to C7. So the idea is to somehow get the entire spine detected in the right fashion. And there are very less, and I like from our perspective, we have not seen a model which basically detect these landmarks accurately. So then the idea was to figure out a way to generate the landmarks. So there are a lot of ways which we tried. We failed in a couple of ways. So data generation itself was a typical task. And then after that data generation, then checking if we can fine tune that data to basically add this also as part of our model. So yeah, so we experimented with two different activities. One, the person wore a kind of, let's say, clothes which are like green or yellow color, let's say. Then you detect some dots and then let the person move. Okay, with every move, you have already identified the landmark, so you have those. But now the posture is different. But you just do one thing, that instead of one human, you do it with 10 more human. Now you have the human body being detected, you have the spine outer layer being detected, but now you have the landmarks also coming along the way. This was method number one. The method number two was more geometric orientation. So the mechanism was to first get the surface. So there is a mesh which is called as a surface mesh. So you basically take the orthogonal projection, and then you try to have the starting point and the end point. Then every spline is actually a spine. So spine can be it's a cubic curve. It is order of 4, like the equation, and then you have a concept called as cubic Bezier curve and tangential splines. So the spine is being converted to a spine, and then you have a starting point, ending point, and a tangent, by which we just detect the mechanism in which the spine should be, depending on the initial starting point. Going overboard in that direction,
No,
but
but
yeah.
so this is a beautiful example. So if you ask me, AI in workflows, a lot of people, that paper, I think you should read that paper from MIT. 95% they say that no ROI because they are not really making use of the AI, right? So if you see him, he's used the absolute nuances of AI to solve a very niche problems. There are multiple problems to solve. in fact. And I think you guys are also in defense it's used right now. See, so it's a huge market, to be very frank. So these are the ways actually you can absolutely integrate AI and solve multiple problems. There are a lot of problems yet to solve, and I'm sure AI can do it. Not just automating, workflows in your company. How much you'll automate your workflows until you will not get any ROI.
presentations, making
Exactly.
ad videos.
You will go past that.
Coming back to you, Aditya, you mentioned about Yug, Krigat. So if I am a 25-year-old engineer, even I want to build these products. So tell me one thing, how can I find the ideas and how can I find the stack to build it?
Interesting. Okay, so this is my experience. Usually, the ideas are all around you when you're working on a regular basis. So you don't need to basically go out somewhere and basically just think about that. I need to find an idea. The way to find an idea is basically step number one. Is there something which you do on a regular basis or you've been watching people to do on a regular basis and there is a unique innovation coming from there and it doesn't even need to be unique? Is there some innovation? And then we can jump on to later going towards whether it's a product market fit or not, other things. But just talking from the ideation perspective, that is step number one. Number two, like in order for a guy or a girl who is basically 20-25 years, they should basically interact as much as they can, read a lot of stuff. When you do these things, the idea is to expose yourself to a lot of things which may be unknown for you in the beginning. So my perspective, reading, going through a lot of things here and there, talking to a lot of people, and then most important part, that always looking for something which basically actually can be called as an idea. So like in your regular activities. So this naturally makes you a person, and it is not necessary that today I'm thinking about an idea, I like in 24 hours I should get an idea, or in 48 hours or in 6 months I should get an idea. It naturally comes and it naturally evolves. That idea what you had few months back can evolve to something else. So it's important that we make it part of a habit instead of thinking that okay, I need to get an idea in 24 hours.
And how do you find the stack for it?
Okay, so yeah, so again, the stack is something which is a similar story what we had a decade back. So every decade, you have some tech stack which is booming. And then that stack is going in the right direction for a lot of people. And then you have a lot of different languages present and out there, and a lot of different things going on in different products with respect to those languages. So to give an example, let's say if I want to build an ERP solution, I can go with Node.js. I have Express, Ghost, and other frameworks which are present there. I can also go with Python. I can go with Ruby and Rails. Python has a lot of frameworks like Django, Flask, Pyramid. Similarly, I have Ruby on Rails, and then there are other frameworks and languages. So, like stack comes later, and most of the time, we should choose a stack which has two qualities. Number one, it is similar to which I've already learned. Let's say if I'm a C++ guy, it's important that if something let's say I'm working on robotics, so I should basically find ways where the speed or latency is as less as possible. C++ is ideal for that. And then there's a ROS framework which is also present. If I'm a guy who has been learning Python, then I can basically take Python as my stack and move forward and jump to TensorFlow, or let's say learn some other image analysis techniques and then work with that. Image analysis I can also do with C++. Even JavaScript has a lot of libraries which I can use. If I'm an embedded guy, I can use TensorFlow Lite. So it's like stack is available. The only decision which I need to take when I'm choosing it is whether I've done something similar and I have some relevance so that I do not need to touch a big learning curve for my implementation objective. If I'm doing it as an individual, let's say if I have a couple of team members and I have the bandwidth, then I should check for what's the community doing. What is the usual community standard? Is the community more focused, and is there a lot of open source scenario with Python or with JavaScript, and there are more availability and reliability? Then I should basically rather go with what has community done and try to search and look for people who have done things in a similar stack and then use it.
Can you both give me 3 AI tools that you absolutely love as a creator and as a founder?
So the interesting fact is that it changes every single day.
Exactly.
So to choose something tomorrow when I'm gonna look at the video, I'm gonna say shit. I've said wrong 3 words. So
Yeah, exactly. Or in 5 hours, I was like, oh shit, I should have told this. I'm scrolling the Twitter shit. I should have told this.
But overall, I think maybe like I can think of something which is like on a very long duration perspective, how things can be and more stable products which are there. One of them is definitely Cursor, and there are a lot of other code, let's say generators and ecosystems which are out there. So it is not necessary that Cursor is the only one. Even a lot of times there are others which are better, but definitely products like that help me on a regular basis a lot. One very like basic thing which I do on a regular basis, I look for some interesting open source repositories. I download and install and then start understanding it faster. So it has given me a kind of an efficiency and a speed with which I can understand code faster. And then accordingly, what modifications I can do and see what kind of an outcome I can produce if I do some modifications or what kind of model it is. So that's number one. Then the other one, I'll again go towards the Gemini, Claude, and these GPTs, which are like open source, not open source, but like paid large language models. Definitely on a regular basis, we have heard about SEO and GEO, which is happening. Like it's like there's a shift where a lot of times people they do not now go to Google to search. They are basically using these generative AI engines to do their research, and it's a shift where number of users doing this activity is going towards, and that's why Geo is getting famous. And then companies and corporates they would like to make sure that they are also ranking with respect to Geos. So this shift is happening because these tools are good. They are able to help us with respect to doing our research in the right way, at least to a certain extent. So I use these quite often to do the search, to generate some draft, which I can use for a lot of activities. That's there. And number third is, so I'll tell you a random one which I use quite often, which is, let's say I have an image and then I would like to basically check how I can improve my architecture diagrams. So I upload that image into, it's again an extension of Claude only. So kind of a plugin. You upload your architecture diagram, and then it basically just gives you a better like version of it. So it has more workflows added, sequence diagrams. Then the modification is also faster. So in real time, while I'm in a meeting and then there's a requirement discussion going on, I can just start giving a couple of prompts with my base diagram, get an improved version, and we freeze the architecture in the call itself.
I cannot stop at 3. My content is at tools. But I'm just looking at multiple perspectives. In LLM as one category I'm putting. So top 3, if I go, I will Gemini 2.5 Pro in reasoning. Then I go to Claude, then GPT-5. These 3, I stick. Loyal to Gemini. Been loyal to Gemini. Will be loyal to Gemini. Right? Post that, so I use Recepto.ai. It's a lead gen tool. It gives you high intent leads. So if you are an agency, if you are I think it's a B2B tool, you'll not find it like creating noise in the market. It's a very underrated tool. It's a Recepto.ai. It just gives you leads. So that a lot of my leads comes from there. Second is I use Google AI Studio a lot in terms of streaming and things. So Google AI Studio, I stream my screen and I ask questions, and I, so if I'm scrolling through something, I stream and I see that, hey, can you explain me this? So I'm always on this, right? AI Studio, I stream. Third one, so I'm just giving you multiple to do so the audience also is, helpful thing. The next is I use Chronicle HQ and GenSparks. So these two agents are really good for presentations and Excel, right? So far they have really been giving good output in terms of design, in terms of content. It's an agent, so it searches the net, it gives you an answer quick. You can try it. And the other things for sure, Hagen, Elevenlabs I use. And for video generations I use VO3, I use Clink 2.1 and Runway ML. for image it goes on. I use GPT 4.0 and right now in Nanoben also I'm using it. Yeah, and yes, one more thing for creatives, I think you'll also have a lot of content people. There's something known as Hira. Hira is a motion designer tool. Imagine an editor takes like let's say 5 hours to create a motion graphics. It is done in like a minute. So my editing timeline, editors or people doing a lot of creators has come down. So these are the tools. There are a lot, but you can use it as a real format. I would
Do
say.
you both have any idea about these N8N workflows as well?
I create a lot of them. So my agent is an N8N workflow. So N8N is N8N is just a wave. Today is N8N, tomorrow something else. But the idea is, as I told, you have a trigger, you have an action. How do you connect this? That's your workflow basically, right? N8N is a trend right now, right? After something Nano Banana is a trend, after something else is a trend. Back then Ghibli was a trend. So everything's a trend. So just because of the trend, people get FOMO and they want to learn N8N. They spend like 8 hours of N8N, then suddenly text to workflow comes in. It's like, what? I spent 5 hours learning a full N8N, now text to workflow comes in. So N8N is just a good canvas to do workflows, for sure helpful. But if you really want to get the best use of N8N, you really need to spend time and to get things. So I've really spent time in that. I've automated most of the workflows in N8N.
Aditya, can you chip in with the technical aspect behind this?
So there are a couple of things which basically come in this picture. But before that, I'm just going to refer to one interesting tool which I've used called as Lexi.ai. Yeah, and I've used it for meta ad generation. And when I used it with awareness, so for lead generation, it just
Really
didn't
good,
work. It didn't work. But for awareness, interestingly, I was able to get a lot of traction. So maybe I've given wrong inputs or wrong takes, but it worked to a certain extent. So that's quite good. So do that in that scenario. But yeah, coming to N8N, so it's not a new thing. It's been going on for a while. There is basically this concept where you integrate emails, and then when an email comes in, it does an action. So there were already tools which used to work in that fashion. And then what you have just done is basically added kind of receptors which are much more intelligent. So if we look at a workflow, and what you mentioned, ultimately you have an object, you have an action, then you have a trigger. Now the trigger itself basically can have complexity involved. Trigger can have a lot of logics, can have and or and other things which come in. So you have a kind of ERP system or CRM system or some stack which is like a standard Python module or a JavaScript module, which can be called as a workflow generator and workflow management system, which basically helps you generate workflows. And then with that, the important part is what should be the action and what should be the trigger is defined by some outcomes. That outcome basically is using these plugins, which comes on a regular basis to us. So that's how you define it. So the interesting part is that how your triggers operate and to what extent you can automate with those triggers. So for example, let's say, can I operate in a fashion where my emails can be read in the right direction, can be classified, and then from there I can generate some content with respect to my own ideas and text. Then it's basically, and then whether it can fulfill an end-to-end basis. So it's in the creator's hand if I'm given a full workflow. And N8N has done quite beautifully. Like a lot of people have been using it, and like you'll see human resource team members in our team itself, they're able to generate a cycle of checking the resumes, checking for what are the right, let's say if I'm looking for a Django guy, then what, like I would want Django, celery, let's say RabbitMQ, Redis, these terms in that. So it checks that, then it shortlists those resumes, and then those resumes are then forwarded further. So the shortlisting and then basically having the basic idea that they are the right resumes is taken care by N8N. And the resumes come over the email. Let's say there are 3 email IDs, so it parsed those emails, checks for which one are majorly resume related, and then shortlist. So it has saved a lot of time for the team members.
So it's like again using N8N effectively also.
Finally, to sum this conversation, could both of you tell me what skills are gonna be still relevant in 2025 in terms of hiring, and what skills are gonna be obsolete?
This is for all the young people who's graduating at this point. Hiring is one aspect, But more than hiring, after hiring also, you need to have a skill to sustain in the company, right? Hiring में तो है, मतलब you need to sustainability. And so for me, the major skill at this point for me is adaptation and problem solving, right? And then there is AI fluency. So AI fluency is derived. So I was at a Microsoft event, and that's when someone I asked, and he said the AI fluency. If you have to break down an AI fluency, how do you be fluent in a language, right? How? It's because you know nuances of it. You understood the fundamentals of language. Now any word you can talk. New words come in, you can talk. You know the meaning of it, right? So that's fluent. Exactly like that. So you learn AI. You learn absolutely how to use AI. You be really fluent in AI. Learn how to solve problems using AI. So it all sums up to my first thing, that understand AI from first principles. Understand AI from fundamentals. Don't just learn from high level. Go a little deep. Then you become more fluent. Problem solving, first principle, and adaptation. Today is GPT, tomorrow something else. Adapt, quickly adapt, right? And domain knowledge is also required. I have a very double standard on it. I'm not going to talk about it at this point. But in this race, what we are at, adaptation is the main skill, and AI fluency.
To a large extent, I agree that these skills are very, very crucial at this stage. In 2025, let's say if tomorrow I want to hire someone and it's related to building AI models or a builder who does these activities, number one, they should be fluent or have some context of behind the scenes. Again, this goes to first principle of a single language. It can be C++, it can be Python, it can be JavaScript. One should know the basics. One should know how it works, so that even if you're using an AI tool, you know what to change, what to do, and how to improve. So it's important that you know any of these languages. It's absolutely fine if you do not know JavaScript but know Python. It's fine, but you need to know one of them. Number two, you should have a good understanding of how to know and how to understand to use AI tools on a regular basis. It doesn't need to be that you need to know everything from day one, but it's important that you are able to learn. As you have mentioned, that you need to adapt and grow yourself with respect to learning those. So you need to, like, for example, I've seen people with Python experience, or let's say have done a lot of activity for 6 years, but they're not able to evolve because they're not using, let's say, an AI tool to code faster. Eventually what will happen, if they're not able to adapt, they'll have like there'll be some kind of a stagnation which will come in, and juniors who are able to do it may outgrow that person. So it's important that this happens. And number third is something which is which is expected from you. You should understand the behind the scenes of AI. For example, you can pick any of these things. It's an umbrella term. Pick up NLP, know behind the scenes of NLP or computer vision or even machine learning. Okay, one example is you can start from transformers, because that's what has taken us here, the modern AI. So you should know the basics of transformers, what are encoders, decoders, self attention. So these things are important. So these three, a combination of these three will help you land a job faster.
Where do you learn this? So there are a lot of papers. So there is attention is all you need. A famous paper by Google. That's when things have changed. It is that mechanism which made ChatGPT, right? Self-attention is a process. So there are a lot of research papers in alpha. You can check them out. And there are a lot of YouTube videos you can check. There is CS229, Stanford's machine learning video. It's of 7 videos, I guess. It's by what was his name?
I don't remember the name, but
Yeah,
this
it's
is
amazing
Stanford,
guy.
yeah.
It's technical. And then there is also one more Stanford video which is known as understanding how to train large language model, CS029. You can just click understanding large language model, Stanford. You'll have a YouTube video of 2 hours 31 minutes. That's also a great video to start off with, I would say. And if you really want to understand more deeper, Andrej Karpathy's dive deep into LLM, 3 hours 32 minutes video, you can watch it 100%.
Awesome. On that note, thank you so much, Vishnu. Thank you, Aditya, for this conversation. It was technical yet fun and resourceful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for
Thanks a
inviting.
lot. Thank you.